Hey everyone, welcome back to our Ambiance Realty podcast. Today I have a very special guest. His name is Alexis Ubeda. He's actually co-owner of Ambiance Realty and a badass top producer. How does that feel, Alexis?
Amazing. Thank you for having me. Like she said, Alexis Ubeda with aka Agent Ubeda. But yeah, Ambiance, here we are. This is our number 2, right?
This is our second podcast.
Sweet.
Yeah. So here we're going to cover everything, the good, the bad, the ugly of real estate. We do a ton of transactions. I mean, I've been in the industry for a very, very long time. So I basically eat, sleep, and dream real estate, which is crazy. But
I think you've been doing it longer than me, which is
crazy.
Yeah, because I've been doing this for 12 plus years now, and with that comes a lot of experience. And when we have that experience, I think it goes a long way in the sense that we're able to teach the younger generation of realtors how to maneuver through certain situations. Because like we just had one today, I don't want to get into details about it because they're just so crazy. But
yeah,
who you work with matters is, I guess, what I'm trying to say, in the sense that you and I, because of our experience, we're able to, battle the oceans and get our clients the answers they need when it gets sticky, like today. I mean, I guess you can talk about it or whatever, but we were able to save someone a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we had another one prior to that. But the point is, having experience and doing it for so long goes a long way. So if when you guys are looking and interviewing agents, when you're thinking of selling your most prized possession thing is your house, get someone to experience. When you're going to buy the most expensive thing you're ever going to buy, which is a home, get the person that's most experienced and knowledgeable. And I think that's where we come in and we bring that knowledge, which is pretty dope.
Right. I was just going to say,
she heard the pop.
Chip. I heard
there was a pop of something, and I'll let you guys figure out what it was.
Right. No. So, and to piggyback on that, I 100% agree. Realtors, real estate agents, professionals, we have a California license for a reason. And unfortunately, it's a little bit too easy, in my opinion, for anybody to be able to get a license. You pass a test, whatnot, and then the real learning comes in when you're actually practicing, right? So a lot of people do real estate. They're in the industry that shouldn't be in the industry, right? And us experienced agents that have been doing this for a very long time, oftentimes we're in situations that I'm just like, is this person dumb?
Like what are they thinking?
Where is the missing?
We were like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, just to give you guys a little sneak peek, we're looking at messages, reading emails, and we're like, what? How? Huh? How do you
exactly like how Alexis said.
Like scratching our head like, yo, this is a real professional.
It's so crazy.
And it's not cool. I think for the most part what happens in the real estate game is that since we're talking about this, is it's pretty easy to get in, but it's not easy to stay in.
No, it's not. I think it's 8 months. After 8 months, most realtors quit.
Well, I read a data where like 15% last, their first year, and then everybody else is gone. So I think the industry, what it does is weeds everybody out. It's not more or less getting your license, but staying in the game is where people, they don't tend to last. And that's where kind of you weed out the person.
Right.
I think the educational system is kind of like that in the sense where you go to a 4-year school. You're not going to, a lot of times, people are like, oh, what school did you go to? What university did you go to? Well, how about the people that started and never finished? That's why they kind of weed you out. You got to do those 4 years and to get that degree. So I think more or less bigger companies look at it in a sense and say, did you finish your 4 years? Oh, you did. Okay, boom. The other 20,000 didn't. So that already weeds out a lot of people.
Right.
And real estate is different. You get in, but then you don't make it after a year.
Yeah.
Like they really don't.
I went for a year to college one day. And then I was like, just kidding. I'm out.
You're like, psych.
Alexis, I was very impressed. And now I know why I like you so much and why you're so smart. He was going to be an attorney. When he told me that, I was shocked. Yeah. I was literally shocked. And then it made sense. You know, because you're very well spoken. You know, you were training some of our realtors. He held a training, and I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. So good for you.
And they waited me out because I didn't stick around all 3 years, but I did a full year. I guess it wasn't in the cards for me. I took it lightly. That was my fault. But you know, here we are, and I'm happy where I'm at. So I think this was my calling versus that.
Right. Real estate is amazing. You can make a ton of money.
You can make a ton of money.
If you do it right. If you're a lazy bug, you're probably out of business by now. So we don't have very many of those here. We actually have pretty amazing agents at Ambiance and the mortgage guys. Yeah. Of course, it's a shifting market. Yeah. But in any market, real estate has to sell. People are always buying and selling regardless of the market. So for me, I'm like, wait, what are we talking about right now? You figure it out. See, me, for example, I got into the industry after the '08 crash. So all I knew was hard work and go do open house and shut up and here are your signs and this is it. I was like, okay. And then when I got a client, he's like, let's write up an offer, no contingencies. And I was like, I said, okay, absolutely. I'll write up the offer. Click. I went to run to someone that was still in the office at that time. And I said, what's a contingency?
What do I do?
Which is kind of interesting because then you're like, okay, wait, what are they testing people on? Because practicing is completely different than actually testing. Yeah. Right. And to touch on the issue that we had earlier, there's been many of transactions like this where, you know, if you're a homeowner, you probably already know this, but there are contingencies that are in place when you're purchasing a home, like the appraisal, the inspection, and the loan contingency. Correct. So those are your 3 contingencies that protect your earnest money deposit, your EMD, and you know, you could always pull out for whatever reason. The appraisal didn't come in, or if you don't have an appraisal contingency, which it's best practices to have an appraisal contingency. And even if you don't have one, you always get an appraisal because you want to know what you're buying and what the value is currently in the market, right? So inspections, something could be crazy wrong and they don't want to fix it, and that would be the main structures like the roof, the foundation, the electrical, and the plumbing, right? If something is completely shot, then you have a choice to say, hey, seller, give me 20 grand to fix it or reduce the price by X, Y, and Z. You have room to negotiate.
Or we can cancel.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just canceling, but other times you have wiggle room where the home maybe might be the home of your dreams, and you know, you just have to fix the roof.
Well, that's funny. To piggyback off that though, what I like to explain with our first time buyers is the contingencies. What it is I look at it kind of like a checkpoint. So your checkpoint 1, 2, and 3 to get you to your goal, right? To get you across the line. And that's how I look at contingencies. Like checkpoint 1 would be contingency with the
appraisal.
Or I would be more on the physical inspection side of it. Okay. I would do a physical and then appraisal and then loan. So once you get to these 3 checkpoints, you have, it's not like you cross the line. It's like you have options. What do we do? We found out on the physical inspection, we found out A, B, and C. Do you want the house? Do you want to cancel? Or do we ask for credits, right? Per se. So you have options as a buyer and a seller. Then you pass that at checkpoint. Now you go to the value, pass that checkpoint. Right. And then the last checkpoint, which is because we throw out you and I and everybody else does it. We throw out the word contingency. And I think a lot of buyers are like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Like, what's a contingency? Yeah. Just look at it as a checkpoint. And your final checkpoint is your loan contingency, which is, how's your loan performing? Are we ready to close? Are we not ready to close? And after this checkpoint, you can lose your deposit, which is a very big checkpoint. In other words, you better cross that finish line after this checkpoint. And a lot of people don't understand that. So, and that's like you were back to what we're talking about was not everybody knows how to maneuver through these checkpoints. Right. And that's where you and I can help these first-time buyers feel comfortable and say, oh, you're going to walk me through this whole process where I get to the final checkpoint and I'm going to get to the finish line. Right. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can get taken advantage of as a buyer 100%. Because the other agent can, sway you the wrong way. Right. You can lose your deposit. There's a lot of things that can happen, but if you have the right guidance, then you get to the finish line, you get your goal, and here we are.
Right. And I think a big missing, at least, you know, what I've seen is agents don't explain it to their customer, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, huh? And they don't understand. And it's unfortunate because that's why Ambiance Realty was built, you know, how it was built and on the basis of trust and providing service for a lifetime.
Right.
Because initially it was my clients and Albert's clients, and we always let them know exactly what they could expect, what was to follow.
Yeah.
Throughout the process, not only initially, but you know, in the pre-qual stage, but throughout the whole process, because it's something new. Now, if it's your second, third, fourth investment property, that's completely different.
It's a different story
than a first-time buyer, you know. But I do see a lot of people not use the contingencies properly, manage them, because like you said, if you can't fund your loan after you remove your loan contingency for whatever reason, good luck, you know, and sometimes, you know, you'll have understanding other parties, cooperating agents.
And they return it.
They return it.
The deposit.
If we can show proof that someone lost their job, for example, because, you know, if you lose your job, you will no longer be able to finance your loan, because there is a QC process that happens at the end, right before you fund and record the transaction. So funding happens after you sign your loan documents with the notary, right? In the loan docs, I explain to my clients, everything is pretty much gibberish. The only thing that you have to worry about is your note. So the note inside of your loan docs breaks down absolutely all the terms of your loan, you know, like the prepayment penalties. It talks about your payment, your interest, the due date, absolutely everything in the note. So that's the most important document. I would always tell my clients that. And even later on when we're looking to refi, me and Albert would be looking through our database. So we'll pull the note to be like, oh, we can help them. We can help them reduce the rate. We can help them, whatever. Yeah. Get out of the PMI and go from an FHA loan to a conventional.
Yeah.
Real estate is like a game. And I'm like, if you can help, if you're always looking for the best interest of your clients, you're always going to be in business, you know, and
you're going to make money. So it's
a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. Now, if you're over here winging it and you don't know what a contingency is after your 10th transaction, and it's just not the industry for you, because you might as well just go work at McDonald's and make just as much as money as you're going to make in real estate without all the stress, because real estate is 24/7.
Welcome to real estate is what I tell people when things get little. They're like, well, I'm like, welcome to real estate. And they're like, oh, you do this all the time. I'm like, yeah, it's great, but it's not everything that people make it out to be, where it's like, oh, all you do is show houses. I'm like, no, that's not all we do. There's a lot more to it. That is the
first thing. Well, we pre-qual our clients.
That's first. One of the things that we do, right? Not the only thing.
It's a list that's very extensive, actually, if you're a good agent.
But I also like how you guys, you said service for a lifetime, right?
Service for a lifetime.
So it's funny because with my clients, I tell them, hey, and you can, I mean, I promise you, they'll vouch. They'll say, I call them and I go, hey, congratulations, you got your keys, you know, or a month later, I'm like, just because we closed the deal doesn't mean you can't call me.
Right.
You need to call me if you have questions. You're gonna have questions come up about your note, about taxes, about this and that. Feel free to call me anytime. And they're like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, we thought we were done. Like, that's it. Like, I have to figure it out on my own. I'm like, no, call me and we're good to go, no matter what.
Right.
So that coincides with your logo there, your phrase, which is great. And that's how it should be, though.
It's how it should be.
It should be.
That's not how it is. No. Yeah. And for me, I would tell my clients, a lot of them were Hispanic, you know, and a lot of them get taken advantage of, or they have a bad experience, or they didn't get qualified right, or, you know, whatever. So I would be like, hey, whatever document, whatever letter you get, do not hesitate to reach out.
Right.
So of course, still, I got this letter and I got this. I'm getting all these screenshots. These pictures, and I'm like, oh, this is just this. They're like, okay. Now, if it's something more serious, I'll make sure to be like, okay, let me call you in 10 minutes, or let's set up a call.
Yeah, 100%.
Or whatnot, you know? But when you come from a place of service, I always say this, you're always going to do good. It doesn't matter what industry you decide to go into, right? And if you take pride in what you do, I just think it's the most rewarding. I love real estate. Not only do I love the home part of it, but I love helping people.
Yeah.
You know, and not only now my clients, but like our agents and everybody that's in the company. Cause I'm like, dude, yeah, if you do a good job, you could do X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm a perfect example, but it's been a lot of lessons learned. But yeah, you know, you don't get to great places by not making mistakes, you know, but ultimately, nonetheless, if you don't work hard, because that's the biggest missing that I see in the industry is it's like people think I'm going to do one open house and I'm going to get a customer. I'm like, no, you might do 20 and not get a customer unless you're great with your mouth. Even so, sometimes it's a hit or miss.
But you got to be social. You got to be talking, and you can't just, oh, I did an open house, I'm going to get 20 leads. Like, right. You better know your stuff.
You might get 20 sign-ins.
You might get 20 sign-ins, but you might not get 20 leads.
But they're not leads.
But it's all relevant in regards to that. How you said real estate is great. It's opened up a lot of doors, a lot of opportunities for us, and you see it in a different way because you're coming at it on the broker side, so you get to see the whole office winning versus, you know, just personal.
And the ones that aren't winning, I'm like, I know why you're not winning, but you don't listen. So we can't help you.
And that's where, like, I think, like I said, the industry will weed them out because you can't stick around in the industry if you're not doing anything. You can stick around in a 9 to 5, no offense, because I just clock in and do my work and leave. So 9 to 5, you're golden. But here, you need to do more than your 9 to 5. To survive. So if we don't see you in the industry, that means you didn't do more.
And if you want to thrive, it looks like 25/7. Yes, I said 25 because 24, it just doesn't cut it.
That's funny. 25/7. I like that one.
I always used to say that it's 25/7. Like, no, but really?
I'm going to use 25/7. Hashtag 25/7.
So, yeah, but again, contingencies are important. So, you know, we can kind of go through the process as well as having a good agent, as well as having a good lender. It's so many moving parts. And I personally believe, because obviously when I started, I'm like, hey, Albert, you know, he has this big old check. It's a $16,000 or $19,000 check. I'm like, what do you do? We're picking it up from an escrow company, which now we tell our agents, like, you know, when you're not making a lot of money, yes, go pick it up. But like, strive to become a top producer, so you don't have to be chasing your checks. You know, your wires are just piling up. Right. Your first check, I get it. But anyway, you don't want to be that agent forever. So we can help you if that's what you are. We can totally help you change that. But anyway, and he's like, oh, I do loans. And I was like, loans? I'm like, I've always wanted to be in real estate. So that's initially how I got into it.
It's all because of Albert Syl.
Yeah.
Changed your life. He sure did.
No, I changed my own life because let me tell you guys.
It was a combination.
So I'm like, okay, he introduces me to this agent, dude. He just gave me signs.
The dude sounds like don.
Yeah, he wasn't the most ethical. And then he's like, go do open house. And I'm like, okay, how do I do that? How do I get an open house? And then he tells me how to get an open house. I was like, okay, got it. Well, guess what I did Monday through Sunday?
Open houses.
Open houses. Yeah. Like, that's all that I did.
If you can, great. Yeah.
Well, because what else was I going to do? So I was always searching, you know, if my office didn't have a listing, I would get listings or I would meet people that had listings. Yeah. That's how I met my first investor that gave me I found him the first flip. That's that offer I told you that I hung up on him because oh, sorry, my phone died. Because I didn't know what a contingency was.
Then they wanted them all removed.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, a good agent, a good lender, good escrow, you know, it all ties in together. And, you know, when you're a new first-time home buyer, you don't really understand the importance of this until you're put in a situation. Like currently, you know, we're here. I'm like, why is this agent? I mean, look, hopefully he watches this, but I'm like, let me help you. I'll be happy to jump on a call with you and explain to you how these contingencies work to the buyer's favor, right? Right. Now, on the listing side, contingencies work great for the seller so that he could take possession of that EMD in case something happens and, you know, things aren't moving favorably. But you just have to make sure as a listing agent that all the contingencies are removed on time. Standard is 17 days, but if you want to make a more aggressive offer, you're going to be at a 5 to 10 day contingency period for each one, depending on the financing. And yeah, your money will be protected. And this guy's trying to keep 24 grand. I'm like, mijo, déjame te ayudo. O sea, first of all, you didn't disclose that you have an interest in the property. That's number one. Number two, you didn't disclose that you're related to the seller because it's your dad. Number three, all the contingencies are in place. So we've canceled and you have absolutely no right to keep the EMD. So I was like, what part? We're talking about this. And I'm like, what part like are we like confused about? Yeah, we sent all the proper documentation to force him to give us back the EMD in case we have to go to small claims. We can show everything. Yeah, it was just all bad. But I don't know. Today he was so mansito. I'm like, what happened? Like, wow. This is the guy that was being so aggressive when I'm like, look, I know you're new. Like, I really could help you. I'm trying to help you. Yeah. Because our client went to the DRE and said, I'm going to start an investigation. And our agent didn't do anything wrong. Luckily, she followed all the steps. And our job ends at a certain point, right?
We can't control our client doing X, Y, and Z. We can't. I mean, what are we going to do? Handcuffs on them? Like,
exactly. All we could do is advise them as far as what we believe is the best action to take or whatnot. But anyway, we came to an agreement. They're finally, after it's been like 2 months. I'm like, to our agent, I said, hey,
I didn't know it was 2 months.
You got to take care of this now. Like, why is it still? Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and it's been on my desk for a while and I'm reaching out to the other broker, crickets. I'm like, how does this person have an office? Like, I don't understand. Again, not everybody's qualified to even be in business, right? Because you have to take it seriously. It's people's livelihood. I take my job very seriously. I always have. And I'm like, if I can help you, if I can avoid you the headaches and the nightmares of whatever, having a bad lender, I'm like, let's go over here with this lender because, it's not cool at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that comes with experience, and that's one of the stories that, like, we were talking about, how everybody sees all the glitz and glamour, especially like $1 million listing and all that.
Oh,
and
God!
They show
most
the show.
Of those people are decoys. They don't even make $0. Maybe from advertising, but not from real estate.
Well, my point is, I don't know. I have no idea. But
I look them up.
My point is they see, on the show, you see, you show them a property and then boom, you get a $20,000 check and that's it.
Right.
There's more to it. And today's, that case you're talking about, that's when I tell people, welcome to real estate. And if you can't handle it, you're not going to last long because it's not always that easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Right. No, it's the truth, and there's a lot of liability involved if things aren't handled properly.
Especially on your side as a broker.
Right. It always comes back to the broker.
It does.
So
it's crazy.
I mean, this is why there's certain things we have in place where now I think I'm going to have to enforce using an in-house TC because then it's just who pays for it. Ultimately, the broker, the E&O, will cover if, it's an error.
So the TC, for people that are watching don't understand, is basically, it's called transaction coordinator, and they help the agents manage the file,
paperwork,
on all the paperwork, and package it nice and neat, so that at the end of the day, we're following all rules and guidelines, and we can close the file with any issues. And you said using an in-house, meaning we have a TC, but they're chose to use someone else.
Right.
And then at that point, that can be a liability for you.
A big liability.
That's what you're referring to, right?
100%. Okay. A big liability. And then especially if TCs are part-time, I'm like, oh my God. Just
because they
like
don't have the
job,
knowledge and experience.
Well, but think about it. A part-time TC is not going to be of any help to you.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. And just like a part-time agent is not as
same thing
good as a full-time one. It's like anything part-time. It's like you're either going to make it work or you're not. And understandably, but also as an agent, you have to choose your time and team wisely.
Yeah.
So it's like you're not going to be doing paperwork. Like I tell agents, focus on getting another deal. Like try to be saving $400 to be pushing signatures. While you're doing all that, guess what? You could be getting another client.
Yeah.
And making thousands of dollars, not sending papers for signatures.
So my first deal, they were like, hey, you got to pay this transaction coordinator. Yeah. I'm like, what do they do? They're like, they get all the paperwork.
Oh, you didn't want to do it.
And I was like, I can do that shit. Because I wanted to save too, right? But then you live and you learn, which I didn't. But they were like, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
They were like, trust me, you don't.
Right.
And then I just never did, but I realized like, if you do go down that rabbit hole and you want to save a couple bucks, it's not worth it. And
it's not worth it.
And I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, money-making activities only. They're called MMAs. So if you focus on money-making activities only, you're never going to have a shortage of money. You did. My husband teaches me a thing or two here and there. When he's not being on my nerves.
So Albert came up with MMA?
I don't know where he got it from.
Yeah.
Money-making activity.
Wow.
Because it's true.
MMA. I love acronyms.
Yeah, we know.
She said we know.
His presentation.
She wasn't pleased. We know, bitch. All these fucking acronyms, Alexis.
Chistoso. Okay, but what else real estate related that we want to tell the public?
Talk about how easy it is to buy right now if you're a small business owner.
Oh, wow.
How easy is it?
Income docs. You don't need taxes. You don't need W-2s.
Alexis, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, of course.
This is a really popular loan program. I think Albert wants to be part of our podcast.
And you only need 3.5% down.
Alexis, let's talk about the program.
Yeah. So for all our business owners that are, entrepreneurs that are not W-2s, they run their own business. There's a new program now that our sister company, the mortgage guys, can help you guys out with, because we're the realtors. So yeah. She's a broker. I'm the realtor. But we need it. So when you're buying a house, you need someone to help you with the loan, right? So on the loan side, that's where the mortgage guys come in. And they have the P&L program, correct, Albert?
Yeah.
So profit and loss program, that's short P&L, short for profit and loss, where the gentleman or family, whoever may be, that owns, let's say, a trucking company.
Yeah.
And taxes haven't been made, or maybe taxes show that they make $50,000 a year, but in reality, they make $250,000 a year
with the before expenses.
Right. So with on the normal program, let's start off there, is your taxes kind of dictate what you get in the loan.
Yeah.
Now it's more of a profit and loss statement where we can get through, I guess, the CPA basically, and say, hey, this year he's going to make X amount of money, and through their bank statements we can justify that they can afford the payment, right? It makes it a lot easier to qualify for a program. You said 3.5, right, Albert?
Yeah.
3.5%.
3.5.
We have a connection with the lender, though, so they have to go through the mortgage.
Yeah, so through our sister company, the mortgage guys. So we would connect you guys to them. DM us if you guys want. Just DM us TMG. We'll know you want to talk to a TMG person. It makes it very easy.
Or send us a DM.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it very easy for entrepreneurs that are just starting out their businesses, or, been in the business, but we all know how it can be with the tax situation. A lot of people don't claim it all per se sometimes. So this can help you guys out. FICO score could be as low as 580. I say low because honestly, we should all have a good 700 credit score.
Right.
Personally, that's a whole nother podcast. We can talk about credit scores, how to lift up your credit scores, how to keep your credit scores up, keep them up even with the smallest of tricks. And 3.5 down is typically for a first-time buyer that has a W-2, that works at a big company, at a, let's say McDonald's, Pepsi, whatever the case may be. The government allows them to bring in as a down payment 3.5 down. Now with this program, these entrepreneurs that have probably saved up a lot of money, they'll be able to bring in the minimum down versus of 10 or 20%. So it's a huge program, a huge opportunity for people that run their own business, have a lot of money coming in and coming out, because running a business isn't easy, but this is for them to be able to jump into a home a lot quicker than before, which is a new program that wasn't around before, which before it would be good 5-10% easy for them. Now it's 3.5. So first time buyers, homeowners, you guys can get in on your new home a lot easier than before. And the guidelines are always changing, just so you guys know. So if your friend, your uncle, your neighbor said, oh yeah, 2 years ago, there was this program that worked for me, or it didn't work for me, forget all that. Call now, DM us now, and find out what the new programs are, because what was available last year might not be available this year.
Right.
What didn't work or worked last year might vice versa. So you want to know what's up to date.
Right. 100%.
And then the lending world, they change guidelines all the time. And most of the time it's for the better because they want people to buy. So it's for the better of you as a future homeowner to find out the new guidelines versus going off of what your tío or your tía, your cousin told you last week or last year that it's not going to work. Well,
the one that doesn't have a house.
And the gentleman that doesn't have a house too. That's funny you say that.
Those people give you the most advice.
Say that.
So do not listen to people that don't own real estate. You know, they'll be like, don't get an investment property because the tenants are going to call you to fix the toilet in the middle of the night. I'm like, sir, you don't own any real estate. We cannot take your advice into consideration at all. And you shouldn't either. I think it's wild. People do that all the time.
I'm laughing inside because let me share.
Laugh here on the podcast.
Let me share this funny story where I'm helping a buyer and I'm helping them and we got into escrow or where everything's going fine, but then out of nowhere he goes, "Oh, my friend," which they don't do real estate, but they told me da da da. I'm like, whatever. Like, I just let it slide. And then every week I would get a new story from him about how his cousin is people that are not in the industry or that bought 20 years ago are trying to tell him what he needs to do, what he should do, or et cetera, et cetera.
Some bullshit.
So I got to a point where I'm like, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I go, unless these people are in the industry now, because like we just talked about how guidelines change all the time, you shouldn't be taking advice from them. The only people you should be taking advice from is your realtor, myself, right? And your lender, because we're seeing this every single day. So we can guide you the right way. I go, it happens all the time. I go, I've been doing this for 12 plus years. And it just so happens that your friends and family, they all become experts the moment you're buying a house.
Right.
But right before you were buying a house, they didn't know anything.
Right.
A year ago, they didn't know anything. But now that you're in the middle of buying a house, they're the experts. But in reality, who's the expert? I go, the lender and I. And I'm not trying to, in a rude way, but how is Joe Blow going to tell you about plumbing and he's never been a plumber? Like, like me, I would never talk about plumbing, but I saw a YouTube video. Like, no. But it's funny because everybody's an expert as soon as that relative or friend is buying a home. Right. And then they're like, what do I do? I'm like, listen to me and your lender. That's all. That's what you need to do. Don't listen to
anybody else.
All the noise, because I know they're trying to be helpful, but they're not. Right. They're not helping. At all. And then they're mixing up the client. So it's it's funny because I just had to tell them, like, they're all experts out of nowhere. He was like, yeah. I was like, see, like, you didn't even think about it. You just, you just like, oh, I know my cousin. Yeah.
Did you close them?
Oh, we're good. Okay. But it's just funny because you were talking about how, like they don't know. And right. But everybody's an expert now that we're buying a home. So all you first time buyers, just listen to the pros and we'll help you. We'll guide you through the very end. Right. So, and then depending on, your job and your credit. Or the program. Yeah. The profit and loss. There's so many. That's one program. Of them, right. There are so many. I mean, our sister company we have about 30 some lenders that we're approved with, which basically means that it doesn't matter, different banks, basically. Right. It doesn't matter. Whatever. It's just a phrase. What about brother company? Babe, so we can call it you are not company. Part of the podcast, Albert. Albert so he's like, I got to give my 2 cents. Right. So, it doesn't matter, if you think you don't qualify, I promise you we have a program, for you. And if you think you don't qualify, lots of times I find that people are like, oh, my credit sucks. And we pull it and it's a 700 FICO. And I'm like, they don't know their credit in reality. A lot of people think they do. You guys think you do. And because I don't mean of that karma. Because of credit karma. Yeah. It's not karma. So Credit Karma, for somebody, Credit Karma is free. I love Credit Karma. Yeah. Because it's good to keep update on your accounts. Yeah. It's not, your credit's not accurate. No. So just know that. And know that, and I'm talking to all my first time buyers, and know that you have 3 scores. right? So you have a high, a mid, and a low. We're going to go off of the mid, but Credit Karma is not very accurate with the number scores. They're more accurate with, is this my account?
Right.
Your balance. That's very accurate. So if you see an account on there that you're like, whoa, I never opened up a Best Buy account, for sure, call that in because Credit Karma is very good at that.
Yeah.
But don't go off of your credit scores. It doesn't work. But like you were saying, sorry to cut you off, is like,
no, it's okay.
It does help. It does help. And there is many different programs. You said we have 30 something
banks that
that we work for. And the reason why that's a big deal, guys, is because that means we have different options. So if you don't fit in this puzzle, you might fit in this puzzle, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So just because your cousin was able to buy with this bank, maybe you don't fit there, but you fit with the other bank.
Right.
Versus and going to a big bank. When you go to a big bank, they give you that one option. It's like, that's it.
And
we have a Happy Meal.
Sorry, you don't qualify.
That's it. We have one Happy Meal. If you don't like it, we can't help you.
Right.
They're not going to move things around for you. And when you deal with so many banks as a broker, like we are,
we'll find the
we
best
have
deal.
the right Happy Meal for you.
Right.
That'll fit your needs.
Right.
And
even
so it gives
what
you
about
better options.
What about Calhafa? I know now they're a lot faster. So the 0 down payment loans, they come
That's
with
another
their own
option.
regulations.
That's another option. Yeah.
But we have whatever, wherever you think you are, if you're interested, look for us. We'll have our information. Email Syl at Ambiance and then Agent Ubeda at Ambiance. So,
or just DM us through IG.
Yeah, or DM us through IG, but there's always options. And I think the first decision is just deciding
that you want
to buy, and taking that initiative and just making it happen. And again, when you find the right team and the right people to work with, that's an easy one for us because we've done it for so many years and for so long where maybe you don't qualify in your desired area or you have to downsize on bedroom count, but at least you started, and so many people next year and then they're 60 and they didn't do anything. Because life goes by like this. So don't be that person. Reach out to us. We'll get you qualified. If you don't qualify immediately, we'll get you on a plan. Some of our clients have to fix a couple things, pay off some debt, and, we'll be ready in 3 months, 6 months. Could be a year. It just depends. Every scenario and situation is different, and this is why we love what we do. And I don't think anything feels better than getting someone into a home when they thought they didn't qualify.
Well, I mean, I have so many stories behind
it's crazy.
People.
We're going to have to do part 2 because don't we have to do this in Spanish, Andrew? Yeah.
Oh, well, hello.
Yeah, it's a shorter podcast. Yeah.
Nobody told me that one.
I know. So this is, it's short. It's supposed to be 30, anywhere from 30 minutes. But, we talked about...
as much as my Spanish goes.
No hablas español, Alexis.
No, Nintendo, nada.
So... Alexis.
Speak español
poquito.
Chiquito.
So what I was saying is that
just like this guy.
There's a loan program for all of you. He's makes a lot of money in real estate. He has a ton of clients. So check him out. Send me a DM. And contingencies, we talked about loan programs, and we will definitely have another segment because I think 30 minutes is a little bit short. But again, this is meant to inform you guys and let you know that we're here for you. Ambiance Realty, the mortgage guys. We have so many badass agents and we're here to help. So this is the best place for people to find you.
Yeah, it is. But what I did want to add this because you just talked about it real quick. Because I have plenty of people that I can talk about in regards to, hey, so how are prices, and how are rates and is it a good time to buy? And, 10 years go by and they're calling me with the same question. And I'm like, you realize you would have bought
10 years ago. Right.
You would have doubled whatever you bought the house for. So I'll just use myself as an example in the sense that I thought I can buy a home 10, 12 years ago. And they're like, no, bro, you don't qualify. You qualify for a townhouse. I'm like, cool. I'll take
buy
it.
A townhouse.
But it didn't discourage me from saying, oh, I wanted a house with a backyard, blah, blah. I was like, cool. What can I buy and where? They're like, here. Done. Why?
You still have that one.
I still have it. My point is, buy when you can, not when your cousin tells you to buy, when your aunt tells you to buy, when the neighbor tells you to buy.
The person that doesn't have a house.
Nobody knows what's going to happen to the market. Meaning, we can give you a prediction, but no one really knows if the rates are going to go here, or et cetera, which is why I say if you can buy, buy now, and then worry about that later.
Right.
Because if you're paying rent already, let's say $1,200, I'm just making up numbers. But now you can buy and own for, let's say, $1,600, which is $400 more. You're going to figure it out because you're going to keep your home. And now 5, 10 years later, you have equity of $250,000, $300,000 versus you holding back and saying, oh, I'm going to wait till the market drops. Well, I'm going to leave you with this. If the prices are here and the rates are here, this is going to happen. One's going to go up, one's going to go down. What everybody thinks is prices and rates are here, and one day the prices and the rates are going to be down here, and houses are going to be free. It's never going to happen. It's never happened in the U.S. history. It's not going to happen now.
Right.
So if you do this or this, eventually you end up in the middle because prices are high, rates are low. What happens when the prices go down and the rates go up? So now your payment's still practically in the middle, right? So you're going to end up in the same place. Buy when you can, not when they tell you to buy.
Right.
If you can buy now and go from there and then worry about the rest. That's what I'll leave you at, because too many people assume or think they know about the real estate market. And like I said, everybody's an expert when you want to buy, but they're not.
Right.
So for my experience to you is buy when you can. I bought what I could, and here I am. I got like $300,000 in equity, and why not?
And why not?
Why not? Why wouldn't I? Now I'd be like, I wish I would have bought it.
My housekeeper, bro, shoulda, coulda, woulda, and nobody cares.
I hear this story all the time.
It's so stupid.
Just buy.
So
if you can buy.
Yeah. So my housekeeper bought a house in Palmdale for $125,000.
Long time ago.
Guess how much? Yeah.
Yeah, those prices.
Bro, that's like $500,000.
Yeah, what are they, like 4 or 5 now?
Yes. I'm like, it's crazy.
It's equity. It's real estate.
It's real estate in California.
Real estate in California. Wow, you said that. That's good. Because everybody likes to put real estate in one big bubble, but we're in California. We're licensed in California. We're going to help you in California.
Yeah. And Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And for the mortgage side or okay. But my point is that California real estate is not the U.S. real estate.
Right.
So when she said in California, like that $125,000 home is now $500 and change.
Yeah.
That's because we're in California, guys. And that's where we want to help you out. So this is where you make that big jump in equity, no offense to other states, but you know, Montana, I don't think is going to go from 125 to 500. You'll be at like 150.
Yeah.
So you're in the right place at the right time. Just make the move. Contact us. We'll help you out, and we'll get you connected with TMG, our sister company, to get you a loan.
Right. So we'll see you guys. That's right. Well, it's simple with us, but that's because we're badass. So thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next time.
Have a great one, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Peace.